Good day, Sanbonani. Uh, good day, Sanbonani. Goeie, whatever. Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Start that one. Good day, Sanbonani. Dimachironi. Goeie middag. Uh, guys, I'm pathetic at this, but I'm gonna make I'm gonna make it my project. It's just the greetings. It's important, but I must say one thing. I get to understand a lot of South African languages whenever they're being talked or shared or whatever way we can. Like when somebody engage me, I tend to have a little bit of understanding, not perfect, yes, but I understand. Now, moving on very quick and fast. I also don't want to make this long. Now, the third part on my religious organization talk. Uh, the third part is about abuse, religious organizations, and abuse. The first part was the religious organization with paranoia, and then the second with paranoia and actually really getting to do whatever that they are supposed to be doing, or as per our understanding of the role that the churches are supposed to play in our community. And that was the first part. The second part was the religious organization or the churches. I said that I'll be using those terms interchangeably, which is my most preference would be the religious organizations, because I do not want to bind everybody with the same belt or with the same, put them under the same bucket if they are not. Because when it comes to church, there's certain things that are outlined, of which on my second video I think I did go a little bit into that, the roles of the church, and that the church is actually built out of community, and the role of the community when it comes to the church, and ourselves as individuals when it comes to being members or part of the churches. So I don't want to use that term much of the church, because you'll find that some of us don't subscribe under the term, or not that they don't subscribe, but as per the definition they do not fall there. But however, for the purpose of this and to try and make things here, I'll always refer to it as a church. And I said church as in like the Christian religion, more so because South Africa free affiliates more on that when it comes to religion. So most of South Africans, they affiliate more on Christianity. So which is 80% and above. So for the purposes of this, I focus more on the Christianity. So Ogunye, that is I think the fourth or so. I'm talking comfortably by Christianity because I personally am a Christian. Secondly, not just a Christian as is being born, also a Christian as having to grow up and adapt and accept Christianity as what I want to be associated with. And for the longest time, I've been, and even now, I am, and I still associate myself with Christianity. And Logunye, yes, I have been to different churches, seen different narratives of different churches, and their programs and their way of doings and their kind of messages. So I think, as per what I've seen, as per what I've heard, as per even associating with other people that subscribe as Christians, I think I have not enough, of course, because we can never come to a point where we say we've learned and we've said enough and we've heard enough, because there's something new to learn every day. Just like as I'll be learning some few things from you guys, and others maybe correcting me, others maybe adding to what I'm saying, others maybe having a different perspective or different ideas, because ideas are ideas and observations are different. And yeah, I mean, things are different as per different people and how we view them as different. So now this is my third, I'd say my third installment, in the sense that okay, that I've previously mentioned that it was the paranoia and the church, and the contribution, therefore, of the church when it comes to. So, man, it's just something, man. Not really comfortable enough here, because I'm not in my house, I'm not in my space, so I don't have a comfortable space that to sit on, and yeah, it's still a little bit uncomfortable. But so due to that, I feel I have certain grounds that I can talk about these things. Okay, just to refresh again, jog your memory, because I diverted there a little bit. The first video I was talking about paranoia and how it affects our people. And I've noticed that those who subscribe by Christianity are not um, excluded from this, or yeah, I'll find the right word for that. So they also fall victims of part of this. Secondly, I talked on the next video, this is the second one, I talked about Christianity and our general health, mental health. And why was that? Because after being paranoid, then you have to still interact and react and deal with people on a daily basis. And the contribution, therefore, that the churches or the religious organization play their role, they play with our mental health, it's quite big. And given the fact that Christianity plays a big part of South Africa at large, I feel like there should be more that our churches offers on this regard. But are they doing enough really? Are they taking mental health issues seriously? And are they doing enough on that regard? I made some few examples of from my personal experiences when it comes to church and mental health issues, how they engage with those, how they uh, get involved, how they view mental health in general. That was just examples from myself, and of course referred to some few incidents that I've came across as a person. So on that, I've asked myself if really our religious organizations, are they doing enough when it comes to mental health, or are they receptive, or are they actively involving themselves into those matters? So that was the first and the second video. On this particular one, I'm looking to look at the issue of abuse. I wish to explore abuse on its variety, if I can put it that way. But more like I've noticed as well doing this, I tend to be very much lenient on physical abuse. Physical, that could be emotional. No, emotional abuse doesn't form part of physical abuse, guys. That came out wrong. Physical abuse in terms of sexual abuse. I correct again. Physical abuse in terms of sexual. That is more the part that I've I looked at, and that I'm looking to explore in this video, which is in my hope and in prayer that on the next one we'll explore other forms of abuse. That is, be in terms of emotional abuse, and yeah, we know there's many of them: emotional, financial abuse, and yeah, the rest. I think there's 7 of them, but I haven't really delved much on them. So now, on the physical abuse, you tend to note there's a little bit of overlap. That is, in terms of physical abuse, that will probably go further to the grounds of emotional abuse. So those are kinds that I looked at briefly on this video, but most part of it will be on the physical abuse. Okay. I hope that we cleared and I corrected that error. I don't want to restart this video really just because of that error. I said that I'm focusing on physical abuse. Then I said physical abuse being emotional abuse. That's crap. Incorrect. So that was an error. So physical abuse, when it comes to churches or religious organizations, we look at that and we see how does a church play its role, and we try to actually figure out just to where could this be coming from. That is from my perspective. Where could this be coming from? And then maybe from there we'll be able to have a way forward or a better understanding. So yeah, this is as best as I can get it, guys, on YouTube, and this is as best as I can get on Facebook. But either way, so the whole point of this video today is on Facebook it's unfiltered, and then on YouTube it will be posted at a later stage. However, the point is the role of the religious organizations when it comes to our mental health. Now, being that video being in 3 part, the first one was with the paranoia, the religious organization and paranoia. Second one was on religious organization and the view and their support and their thinking and their receptiveness when it comes to mental health. So this one now I'll be dealing with the religious organizations when it comes to uh, abuse, being it physical, sexual, financial, emotional, and otherwise. But most of this particular video will be looking at the sexual abuse, which will be linked with emotional abuse that comes with the abuse. So from the religious point of view. Okay, so now I've been looking at this topic for quite a bit, and we have established that South Africa is a very religious country, and South Africa is very active when it comes to religion. Well, while we also acknowledge the fact that there's other religions in South Africa besides the Christianity, but Christianity we've established that it forms a bigger chunk of the religions in South Africa, which is way beyond, okay, not maybe way, but which is over 80%. So most of the South Africans that have been interviewed or uh, statistics that shows that most of the people in South Africa they affiliate under Christianity, which they've also established, that they go to church for more than 2 times a week. So now, one, I want to go back to a little bit of history because we're talking Christianity, and therefore, if we have to establish Christianity or we connect Christianity, we have to connect to something, right? Because the basis of Christianity is the Bible, right? And if then we look at Christianity outside the Bible, I still feel, or I feel that it will be a little bit unfair. So now I've went to try and establish certain things based on the Bible, and then we come up and we sum it up, and then you guys might come to a certain conclusion or certain understanding about what I'm saying. So I once had to, yeah, basically, I'll be using case studies from the Bible, right? And then maybe in relation to what is going on currently with Christianity or the abuse that is taking place. We know all of the over the news, go all over the internet. We see how the children of God suffers from the leaders of God. I once did a study. It was a number of years ago. I am looking to do that study again because I'd lost all the let's say the laptops that I was using at the time, and I lost a lot of content, which is not just that particular study, but along with the rest. I did a study of the women in the Bible, and it was a two part study that contained the women in the Bible from the Old Testament and the women in the Bible from the New Testament. So when I did that study, I had used a lot of other different references in terms of books and the perspective of other people that had actually certain dealt with that issue. So now, looking at everything that is taking place in our religious organizations, and that is actually taking place too, uh, our churches, I got concerned, and I'm like, I think I need to go back and then maybe have a reference or touch base with what I've started before. So now being the Bible being a basis, and I would really like us, if we were to judge, if we had to or if we must, of which that is not the point of this video, the basis of the facts of everything given what we have at hand in the Bible. So we should do it fairly, because if you are to judge a Christian, you should be judging a Christian based on the Bible. If you're to judge uh, what the other religion in South Africa, you should do so using the relevant material that they believe in that they use. So therefore, in this instant, because I'll be really talking about Christians, it's fair to use what the Bible as the basis and as the main reference, along with everything else that we will be looking at, right? So, one, the churches and the mental health. This subtopic looking specifically under the theme of abuse. Under the theme of abuse, specifically looking for sexual abuse. It has become a problem, guys. I was once in a choir at a certain particular church, and we used to hold practice sessions on different homes, different times of the week. I found myself sometime having to wait for everybody else that was still coming for the practice, and The first person that got there in the house was, fortunately or unfortunate, the minister at the time. And I had to find myself at some point lying and the thighs of the minister. I don't know how we got there, but the flip. But thank God I survived that, and it didn't get anywhere because I was so uncomfortable. To the point that no, let me go and check so and so so so, because it did feel wrong. I did feel like something was, before anybody could tell me, I could feel it in myself, because thank God enough at that point I was at least an adult of sort. Even though I was young, yes, but at least I could still tell when my body and my reaction tells me that something is wrong with the setup. And that day, thank God, however uncomfortable it was, somebody looking for things in my hair, while we waited for my siblings that were not in the house at that point. I think they were still on their way from town or something. So I felt like, no man, something is not right. And thank God I survived that. But there is another person out there that never survived that. And there's thousands, literally thousands of them, never survived those kind of situation, or they never had to find a way to get out of that situation. So now you find that yourself in such a situation and under the hands of a great, great, good minister, right? And somebody that you sit and listen to church with so much admiration, like you'd be like, wow, this guy is good, right? And now you find yourself sitting under that situation, and then you ask yourself lots of questions to come with, what do I say? Do I stop and say nothing, or do I say something? Because if I said something, this guy is loved, this guy is liked, this guy is trusted. How do I get myself out of that? There's plenty of others that face such, and unfortunately, some though do not survive or don't have a way out of such situations. It was not, it didn't go all the way, and not for all of us. It doesn't go all the way. But where does this come from? And you see it and you ask yourself, from such a very respectable person, where does this come from? How does it get here? And then, I understand it's human nature, right? And but then you tend to think, especially when it's the leaders of the church, that I wouldn't expect this because this person stands and talk against sin. And if there's anything that I know about, whatever that I find myself with right there, the Bible doesn't allow. And it should be against a certain principle in the Bible. Even if it's not literally black and white written in the Bible. But what had happened or taken place there, it's not right. Right? And thank God I survived it. It never went further than me lying in the thighs of the minister and feeling uncomfortable about it and having to make an excuse to get myself out of it. And thank God there was no force or anything like that. At least, there's a credit there. He managed to manage himself, and yeah, no. But then again, we have to look really deep into this. There are certain utterances that our people, our pastors, or everything, or ministers, they would say that this thing, yeah, 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 your sexual weakness or whatever you call it, it's a very old sin that actually even David himself never had got to hold himself when it came to that, right? And that is very true. That is why now, today, I'm looking maybe to go a little bit, just a little bit on the Bible. I'm not going to do the whole study that I did then, or the whole presentation I did back then, because it was a two-part, very interesting, beautiful. And I am still looking to get that. Unfortunately, we were not taking much videos at that time. And even if we did, but I got to lose all of those things. But I promise to come back in this platform to just go and delve deeper on that. So, abuse in the Bible because I said if we have to look at this the right way, you have to actually go deeper and find it from the Bible. Sexual abuse. I have my notes here that you might not be able to, yeah, not be able to see, but I'll keep on having to take just to remind myself, take a look at that. So, the first person I want to look at is the story of Sarah. Sarah, the wife to Abraham, right? I'm gonna try and make this and cut it as just short bits and pieces because now I'm already on 25 minutes and I really have been just doing this thing. I haven't said much. So I'm gonna look at the story of Sarah. But before I go to the story of Sarah, I want to pass this. Please subscribe, guys, to my channel. It's a very small community. I'm still growing this. Don't have much audience. If you love to watch this content, it's fine. But just for the purposes of it, I would love if you can subscribe, like it, and share it. And it is not by any means for profit purposes. I do this because I love it, and I do this just to share and to spread a certain message to a certain extent. There is nothing profitable about what I'm doing, but it's just because I want to do this and I'm giving myself a platform where I can share my learnings and my experiences about life, right? So please do like, share, and subscribe. We'll see the rest of the things later on. That is just all you need to do. I'm sure by now you just watch my videos. There's not even adverts or anything. Probably until a later point. So Sarah was a wife to Abraham, right? And Sarah couldn't bear any kids, and then Abraham. They were both this couple at their later stage in life when then they realized that they cannot have any kids. And now you know if you follow your Bible that you know by the time how much having kids meant to a couple or something. So now Sarah at her 80th old, he was an 8-year-old woman and Abraham was 90 years old, if I'm not mistaken. We can always look back at this, but that's not the point. But they were old, that's the point. So I don't want somebody coming here and arguing that you said Sarah was 80 and the other one was whatever. That's not the point. But I think, if I'm right, the other one, they were both old, that we established. The second one is the other one was 90, the other one's 80, right? And now they couldn't get no kids and rewind. Um, a year or so earlier, there had been an angel that had came to Abraham and said to him, "You will have a child by this time next year." And now it had gone for a long time. Sarah wasn't getting any child. I'm not wanting to get to the story itself, but I want to get to a point. So the Abraham, after a couple of years of that not happening, uh, I think became a little bit restless. You get a point? Was like, no man, if God said this, then there must be a way. It cannot be my wife because we've been married with my wife for a bit, and my wife hadn't had a child, and there is no way that at this point in time she can ever bear me kids. So yeah, time goes and times went. Sarah doesn't have a child, and then Abraham is thinking now, but no, there's no way probably an angel was talking about Sarah. So Abraham went to get himself another wife. I'm not going to get to the steps of whatever finding that wife, but we know he got himself another wife by the name of Hagar. So when got to Hagar, Hagar really fell pregnant and everything, got a baby boy, and then now, which then the I want to put this in one bucket because it's a similar stories. But both these women had suffered some sort of abuse under the system. So I'm not gonna name names and say Abraham was an abusive husband, but I'll say the system. So Hagar comes and then gives Abraham a kid, and then Sarah feels threatened. That's Hagar is actually now taking the whole attention of the husband because now she had managed to bear the kid for the husband, and then Sarah is now turning out to be the one to abuse Uaga to the point that Haga had to leave and have to spend the night with the boy in the middle of somewhere, running away from the pressure back at home. You see the abuse that there's always been abuse, guys. It's just a matter of how we relate this to what is actually taking place in our spaces today. So Sarah gotten to the point where she had because she couldn't have kids, and there was no way of accepting that back in the time. I'd say it was probably not yeah, not acceptable. But the point of the whole marriage thing back then was to have kids, and not just any kid, a baby boy. Baba, hey, I need to take you guys back to the start I did then. You could have as many kids as you have, as you can, but if you do not have a baby boy, it was difficult for you. So now, Sarah struggled having the baby to a point that she had to have a sister wife that is gonna now come in as an assist her of having a baby because on her own she cannot bear kids. Now I want you to look at the scenario. If you were a wife to somebody and you have to have kids, the pressures that our mamazalas put to us, that for us to recognize you as the wife, even to a point if they don't verbally say it in that manner, when you go back home, nguwe lo, nguwe umyenakho, niyafika kiDecember boss, nibambe kahle nje, nislender, nibambene ngezandla. Mm. Mazala will welcome you probably and be like, kanti simthola nini umakoti? Oh, yo, simthola nini nomzukulu? To the point which you probably even go to makoti and start putting the, hey makoti waze wamuhle here, we are glow hey, or ten now. You pregnant now, meeting now. You get a point. Those kind of pressures, and you have to feel and think about it. If you and your husband has been trying to get the kid and you cannot, you get a point. And now having to go now, how would that make you feel if now you have to go back to the same place again? All over again, that it's year after year, year in, year out, year out, year in. You don't bring the little one with. You get a point? The pressure, the stress, the emotional turmoil that one goes through in going consulting with the doctors and finding everything. Others even went to the lengths of getting certain medications. No, it's gonna fatal you and your husband and anything because there's this pressure. There is this that flipping that flipping emotional blackmail you get from your mother-in-law when you get there. They'll be like, "Yeah, is there something that you're forgetting in the car?" And then only for them to be referring that maybe you're forgetting a baby, and they well know, they all aware that there's no baby. So Sarah had to go through that. Had to go through that. And the point with that was all failing and that was not working and it wasn't coming through to fruition. And then they got Hagar. Hagar came and gave birth to a son. And now you can just imagine an old man like Abraham never having to experience the joy of carrying a baby and the joy and the attention that he was given to Hagar. And now Hagar had to actually experience the abuse from the sister wife. Yeah, boy. So now this abuse kind of shit has been there, guys. That is why I'm like saying we go to church today and we are led by leaders that believe very well believing in the Bible. And there's nothing wrong with that. But they flip and sometimes very stereotype. They do not understand that the Bible had to teach certain principles or even tell certain things, even though they were not right. But just to actually pass a certain message, they not get that. But as long as it's in the Bible, it is a way to go. Okay, let's pass that. But Sarah and Hagar, they both struggled with a certain abuse, mental abuse. Like literally, Hagar, she had to leave the place where she used to call home, because she had to run away from the sister wife that wasn't happy because she was probably getting the whole attention and everything she would have felt. So you see, abuse, abuse. Can you see it? The point that Sarah has been abused so much, and to the point that she cannot see anything in her having to abuse the fellow sister, right? And then, okay, let's move. Let's move now. Now. While I'm there, let me mention this woman. It's a very popular woman. You guys all love her in the Bible, Hannah. Hannah, we all know the story of Hannah. She even went and wept. They even said that she wept to a point that even the priest at the church, she thought that she had drunk or had some booze or alcohol or something. The way Bekalanga corner in, she was, she needed a babe, right? That's a desperation that was there. Like I can almost link it to the same story, Sagasar and Oaga, because she was so desperate that she would, whenever everybody's sleeping and having like beautiful, peaceful sleep at home, she would just slip out the blankets and go to the church and pray. And then the first things the priest of the church asked him, why are you like this? Why are you coming to the church drunk? That's the kind of things women, guys, go through. It's a lot. It's a shit. It's hell. But this woman was desperate for a child because that's how much a child meant back then. And she suffered almost similar things that Aga had. I know that we don't speak much about those ones. Everybody's like Sarah, 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 Sarah. But what about Hagar? That suffered under the hands of Sarah. And no, Hagar didn't place herself there. You get a point? I get that. Now Hannah, she gets there and she cannot bear kids, and then what's the name of the husband? I forgot. But she gave eventually birth to Samuel, if you remember well. So, but that was not before the emotional abuse that he had to go through in order to produce a son. Yeah, but she had to go through a whole lot even under the hands of the sister wife. That's why it's very amazing for me. Maybe that's why my abantu bahamba isonto bekhohlakele so. No, I said it. Maybe that's why abantu bahamba isonto bekhohlakele so, guys. Abantu bakhona ungabi nanhliziyo, right? Under the name of Jesus, the name of God. So, Hannah, angiphume lapha. Hannah struggled getting a baby, and Penina, the sister wife, had to make sure that she reminds her of that every day, to a point where she finds herself in the temple having to desperately pray for her son. I'm not going to go into detail of what does having a son meant in the matter, because it meant a lot. You could bear as many kids as you have and as you can, break all your flipping eggs. But at the end of the day, if you do not come with the son, that's why they would pray. Like in the Bible, there's very emphasis with this when it comes to having to bear a son. There's always an emphasis when somebody gives birth in the son. They could give a number of kids that they've ever had, but and so much sons. There's an emphasis there. I'm not going there tonight, but what I want to say, to a point that another woman would suffer abuse under the hands of another woman. Flip, we lesbians today, we suffer abuse under the hands of. What did I just say? Nah, forget about that. But if you get it, it's fine. If you don't, forget about it. But the whole point, guys, jokes aside, to a point, the desperation that was there and the abuse that these women had to get under or even had to endure under, the people just to have a son was too much. That's abuse in the Bible, guys. The whole point. Forget that I'm giving you these narratives, but the point is the abuse in religion, abuse under the hands of the leaders. Because Hannah was married, Penina was married, and Penina had to abuse the sister wife because the sister wife couldn't produce kids. All right, and pull me up. And Abigail, I'm not gonna go into this. Abigail had suffered. I'm gonna go into the, this abuse, but remember, I'm not going to detail into the stories, right? If you want that, we can always do that. But now the point I want to get to is, oh, Abigail. Abigail had to suffer abuse at the hands of the husband, right? That is now domestic abuse. Under the man of God, she struggled with abuse. Ngizoze ngikhulume kakhulu ngingakafiki la ngifike ufuna khona isikhathi sami sengishayo. Domestic abuse has been there in the Bible, has been recorded in the Bible, right? And then ew, there are very terrible things that happened in there. And then Tamar, Tamar was a stepsister to Amnon. They were both David's kids, but from different mothers. Tamar and Amnon. Amnon, you get the story in Samuel chapter 13, first or second. But yeah, somewhere in Samuel you get the story saka Tamar. No, Amnon. Kuze kungenelele ubhuti, u-Absalom. And then I want to link that story with the story saka Bathsheba. Bathsheba was the wife of Uriah. Was the wife of Uriah. Did I make note of that? Okay, fine, I didn't make, but I think it was Uriah, the husband, right? Bathsheba was sexually abused by King David, guys. Sexually abused by King David in the Bible, in religion. And after her being abused by that, she was then later abused. Mm-mm. Besides being abused by the king, the husband later fell into the hands of abuse from the hands of the king because David had to go and kill. David had to go and kill the husband, that is Uriah, because after it had to thank you mnganami, thank you my friend, uyayazi phela iqiniso phela, iqiniso kuphela, guys, we struggle under the hands of religion because yeah, danger. Thank you, my friend. So, but what I'm saying is, Uriah had to die at the hands of the king, that is King David, azathatha akabekwe in front of impi so that bazombulala because David had sexually abused Uriah's wife. And now I'm going to the point where really are we safe at the hands of the leaders? Are we safe at the hands of those that we put ourselves, like they lay their hands on our head to pray for us? So Upacheba slept with this king involuntarily. And then after the king has done all the things that they wanted to do, they killed the husband. After killing the husband, the lady is later pregnant, of which the kid later got to be sick and died. So now the whole thing is abuse, flipping abuse, guys. Abuse at the hands of those that are supposed to be holding you up, carrying you, praying for you, supporting you, guys. Guys, it's not funny. So Utama, now one of King David's kids. Remember, King David did this to Bathsheba. Tamar, the daughter, is suffering sexual abuse by a stepbrother. from one of the wives. They abuse Utama sexually, and then the brother Yagatama then goes and fight for the become an enemy to the half brother in protection of their sister. But that's not the whole story. But the point is, abuse, guys, abuse. Women have been like on top of abuse, like women have been seen nothing but as objects, guys, by from the hands. And then you sit today and you wonder why would the so-called religious men take their wives serious. You would wonder why the religious ang pumela, because you guys would take what I'm saying and think that and nizozama ukuyihlanganisa nabantu, and which has nothing to do with my probably personal life. But one thing I'll say, people suffered abuse under the hands of the leaders back in the Bible days. And then remember, the leaders, even the Bible itself, it says when it talks about David, David is one man that was, there's this face, man. The one man that did only which was right in mine eyes. It says that when it talks about David. And now, being that good of a man that he was even after and before everything that he had ever done, then the Bible still says that he did with that which was right. That is God talking about David. He did only that which was right in my eyes. And then now you take the men of the day and time we live in that do only which is flipping fucked up bad in the eye of the people and in the eye of God, and you entrust them with our lives and entrust them with our kids' life, and then you think that they're gonna do the best. No, guys, let's be honest. Bohluleka ukuphatha bona, and then you hand your angthule, because this is supposed to be public and I don't want to be insinuating certain kind of mentality or even thinking. But the point is, the point is, abuse has always been there in the Bible time. Could it be that we have such leaders today that have no respect of the law, even the Bible that they read to every day? Is because that they see themselves as superior than women. Is it not because they see themselves as, because it's proven. I'll give you one last illustration, the one that kills me to the jaw, the one that actually, yeah, to actually show that women have always been underdog from the Bible times. Is it not because that underdogness of women is carried through to our generation today? Could it be that? Could it be that we find our leaders, we find our pastors, we find everybody in our day and time, in our day and time, and they'll be preaching the gospel every Sunday, every day in church, and what God wants. They know it. They know the precepts of the Bible. They know what needs to be done. They know what it's said to be done. But I think there's a problem when it comes to doing. Is it the case? Only because when they have to read the Bible, they read it to a certain extent and to a certain point. Maybe. We don't know. But one thing I'd say is we have religion, we have people, we have abuse. Yo, you can find yourself being abused under the name of God. Hey, man, kancane. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you are being abused under the name of God? If you do not know that, like, okay, as I said, my talking today is just literally about the abuse with our religious organizations, that us sitibanisa with the religious organizations. Could it be that they've read the Bible so much into that. But I know, and then I will go to a point where we have to deal. Because I know that Jesus Christ himself, he did make corrections of how women were treated. But angakangeni lapho. That will probably the next video that we'll be doing. But it seems like our leaders, they've hung on to the power that was given unto them towards women, guys. Let me give you one last typical scenario that took place. That took place in the Bible that is of abuse towards women to actually push me to against the wall, the narrative or the point of being a woman at the time, at the place. That is why I feel like our religious leaders, the people that are supposed to protect us, or the people that are supposed to care for us, our families, our kids, they see us as nothing, nothingness. That's why bakhona ukufika endlini. When they get in the house, they can easily say, "Awukakapheki. You've been in the house for the whole flipping day, but you haven't cooked." It's because of such narratives as this. I'll give you. Let me take a break. I'm coming. Just for that one, I'll be done in no time. Before I left, I said I'd come back with one last, very last summary. Or now, ithi-ke lapha, yeah, come on. Ayivuleki, let's keep. Okay, fine. So before ngivala, ngivala the part that actually angiphathi kahle, ne? But anyway, it is siyivale so. I was once a member of a church. I've said that many times. We've spent so months on end having to discuss the matter of women in the pulpit. And the basis, okay, they quoted who Paul when he was talking about having to have women in an open platform and having to talk with men. But you know how ridiculous the argument of those ladies, I mean women, in the same church that I was at, when they argue against having women standing in the pulpit. They were shocking to a point that I even doubted that those women they even loved themselves. Maybe they were supposed to be flipping lesbians or transgenders, not in a bad way, just like me, because I am lesbian with prospects of transgending at some point, given that I would have funds and money. But anyway, not for any particular reasons, just for my own personal reasons. But I was disappointed by the argument of the ladies that they brought on the table, such as abafazi bakhuluma kakhulu, like women they speak a lot. Women they are not clean. They go to period 7 days of a month, and you come and speak. Yeah, nifuna ukujola lana and then come and stand, but you basically meaning you want to go and have sleep with men and then come and talk with us. I mean, forgetting that men also do that, bahambe bayokujola and then come back in the pulpit. Only maybe because they don't have a tummy when they are pregnant to show for their infidelity, that they do not have periods that they have to go through in some particular time of the month, of which that is a natural process that no one can stop if it must take place, and for those particular ridiculous reasons. But then again, I concluded myself that we're dealing with people that don't take pride in themselves here. They do not take pride in themselves, or they have no interest in even having to take platforms and talk and be heard and pass messages, and because for me, you feel so stuck. There are you, you're a woman, you've got a lot to share with the world, and you are limited that you cannot be speaking at certain platforms because you cannot be speaking over men. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere. If I must do what I need to do, I'm not gonna get it. It's one thing that they've been talking about. Even if you go today, it's still an issue to certain people. There are that have those that have accepted the fact, and those that had no problem with that fact. In fact, there was a person that was very close to my heart back then, that he stood up for that you know what, this is crap, it cannot be. We have such men, we have such people, but it's not all the time that we would have some. But this narrative for me, it's like one of the things that says to me, as women we are never taken serious, not at any platform, not even on corporate set by, unfortunate, not even by other women. You have women that cannot stand up for other women because they have issues with themselves. So now, if you have to do something, you have to stand out and do it on your own and go against any rule that has ever been placed, or that has ever been, or that has ever existed, because it needs you to make you. So yeah, on this last bit, we have those kind of people that have got those narratives. And now again, on the same theme of having to have women being taken serious by by religious organizations. Hey guys, I love when it comes to this. And funny how much I'm a very religious person. I'm a very religious. I take my religion serious. But as much as I take it so serious, I've taken it so serious to the point that anybody that becomes a stumbling block between me and my religion and my beliefs, I move them out of my sight. Like I make sure that I cut ties with such, because I know what I know. I believe in what I believed. And I don't have to prove my beliefs to anybody else except for who I believe to. Right? And so, with that said, I talk about Sarah and Hagar's dilemma. I talked about Hannah and Penina's dilemma. I've mentioned Abigail in passing with the struggle, what do you call the domestic abuse that she had to go through and all that thing. I've spoken about the rape to Bathsheba by King David, right? And now I wanna talk in summary. Ngayvala. There is an unnamed concubine in the book of Judges. I wonder if there's any story that touches me when it comes to woman. It's story of that concubine. They say a concubine. There's no name attached. Why? It doesn't matter. See a story in the Bible that talks about a man, and there's no name linked or attached to it. Come and tell me. And if you come and tell me a man that is referred to a Bible that doesn't have a name, and that their story matters as of this concubine, we're talking about a serious issue here. I'm not gonna tell you the concubine story now. I just wanna pass through a little bit. There's a concubine in Book of Judges that was slain, guys, for being sexually abused, and the sexual abuse thereof. I'd say it was what? It was a handover of sorts. That rather than you doing this to a man, we have a woman So okay, let me pause there. So let me do this. Let me do this. Sexual abuse and the religion. Mina, the only reason I'm doing this kind of comparison of sorts, I want us to look at the way that women are carried out in religions today and versus to how things took place. I know they're not gonna come in and be like, "Yeah, we're doing what we," but if you believe in the Bible, if you read the Bible, whenever I argue with you or talk with you, we have to be referencing to the same. You come and you engage me in this platform, and we talk about these issues. You clarify to me. Maybe I would understand. Maybe. So there is the concubine sexually abused. There's Tama sexually abused. There's Dana. Udina was sexually abused. There's lots of daughters. Very interesting story also sexually abused. Ne? Now I've mentioned Tama. Then I'm not gonna go in. Go and read yourself. Go check it out in the Bible. What happened to her? So, because I'm running out of time, like really, but it's a matter of sexual abuse. So now there's also the 400 virgins that were given out to the warriors of Benjamin when there was a fight between Israelites. Uh, so there's a story. The story is in Deuteronomy. If I'm right, yeah, no, it cannot be in Deuteronomy. It cannot be in Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy doesn't kill such stories. When yeah, but in the books where Israelites were in battle or wars, man, I'm not sure. It's not. It cannot be Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy doesn't carry such. It will either have to be the Bible chapters or Bible books that talk about the wars, man, or the fights. Or yeah, the battles that took place back then in the day. And then so those virgins, not Solomon, not Samson. Okay, so those 400 virgins were spared from being killed because when the Israelites had conquered their their enemy or the people that they were fighting with, so they had to they spared the lives of those 400 virgins as some sort of token to say, no. And yeah, I'll leave it to you guys to think with what happens to virgin. I'm not saying anything sinister or anything happened to them, but they spared the 400 virgins, and it's mentioned like that. The Bible 400 virgins. Okay, no guys, as in unclick. So Tama, no, forget about Tama. I mentioned it's this late concubine. Go check out the word concubine. Umakopeni nje. Hey man, as I laugh when I think of these stories, guys, the Lord will forgive me, but I have to say some of the things. Like the concubine, umakopeni man, it's like, yabon? And then the story of Lot's daughters. Abantwana baka Lot, that is abantwana baka Lot. So, angiqale ngilesi abantwana baka Lot. Now I'll be done in abaka Lot ngizobaceda in I think I hope and pray in 3 minutes. Then the other 3 minutes will be the concubine. Sad stories indeed. Abantwana baka Lot, there is they staying, you know, most Lot behlala kuphi eSodom, right? Behlala eSodom and then makahlala lapha eSodom, uLot apparently for some reason used to like to go and stand by the gate. I-gate mangithi not i-gate ejaridi like i-gate isixhego kufana nokuthi you are staying in Lotto behlekisa, guys. Kufana nokuthi you are staying in Johannesburg, ne? And then you go and stand in the border, right? Let's say, let's take the border between Johannesburg and Mpumalanga. Like Gauteng, actually, not Johannesburg, Gauteng. Let's say ulothe bethanda ukuhlala kwi-border zase cause behlala eSodom. Hlala egeyithini laphaya. Ze-city, zesixeko, bebayibiza njalo. Lapha egeyithini. And yeah, let me say it again. Not ezakwakhe, not igate yakakhe ejareti lakakhe. Hlala lapha egeyithini esixekweni. And then now, this other time, as he usually does, he's at the gate, isixeko, and then there comes two men, and it was, I think, late or something, but these men could not go ahead anymore with their journey, so they stood by the gates and engaged with Lot. That Lot, they didn't know the name, I want to assume. I haven't read the story for a bit. So, but the point is, they talk with Lot. Lot is like, no, guys, it's late now. Let me take you to my house so that you can sleep for the night. Yeah, no, Lot. I think why the team. For some reason, Imani, guys, I'll make you understand what I'm saying. Ne, I'll make you understand why I need to make team. Ulotte is inviting stranger guys from the gate. Good guys, circulate, man, come to my house. We will wash your feet. I will wash your feet. Because, okay, that was the how things were done back in the day. You could see, to show a stranger that you are welcome in my house, in my place, they would wash the feet of the visitor. So Lot welcomes the guys and like, no, come in, sleep over, and then we'll continue with the journey in the morning. Lotte, I man, I'm thinking of this as I talk, guys. Okay, Lotte welcome the guys. The guys are like, okay, it's fine. We'll go to your place. They get to Lot's place. Lot has got two daughters. I don't even know the names of the daughters, right? I don't know. Lot has got two daughters. Get into the house. And now, for some reason, the guys in the city, they come at Lot's place. They start knocking at Lot's place. I don't know if I'm doing justice to this story or whether I should have just did a whole total talk to them. But yeah, I'm gonna hope and pray that you'll follow through with me. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and share, guys. Just for the purposes of, I want engagement. I love to be engaged and everything like that. So just for those purposes. So okay, I don't make money out of this. So Olo to invite the guys into his place. When he gets there, the guys from the city, they run, which is, that is where I get Paul Nama Nezdaban and then ila kuluma khona later on in the, that is in the New Testament. Now I'm talking the story in the Old Testament. So uLotte invite amaJuda afika kakhe akawazi. And then makangena aceda ukungena lapha sekawarelaxisile. I want to believe maybe sekabageze neenyawo, maybe sekawabonisile nokuthi azolala kuphi, right? And then they knock at the door. Like the guys are like, no, 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 no. You have people that have come to a place. We want them out. Sifuna ukubadla. And those guys that are doing that, it's men. I wanna assume because everybody says it's men. So let's all assume it's men. It was not the women from Sodom seeing beautiful and handsome guys. Or we can always flip it. The visitors at Lot's place were angels, right? As it is further probably explained by the books of prophecies, and as our assumption of angels. Angels are guys, right? Now, when I go with that narrative, that's a thought for another day. or talk for another day. But now these guys come at Lot's place, and then the guys from the community they come knocking at the locks, and we saw you taking those men. Oh, sorry, that's a very wrong English. Taking those men into your house. We want them. Open this door and give them to us. We eating is close. I don't know really. Never gave myself time to read about it in English. It is sifuna ukubazi. And now it's close. Might is sifuna ukubazi. Directly translated, we want to know them. So when we preaching and then we are interpreting that, we wanted to have sex with them. So those guys are standing at the door and then they are knocking and be like, bring out those men who want to sleep with them, who want to have sex with them. And those people screaming outside are men, right? And then now, after that, Lot is saying, standing to them, no ways. I need to cut this part out because I feel like it's gonna be a whole lot of different longer than itself because it gets me excited. Because the men in the city they want another man. And they've never seen this being done anywhere. Hey man, they don't know, they've never experienced that. Or maybe because the guys are so handsome, they look like girls. I don't know. But yeah, I want to assume because okay, before this story, we don't hear it anywhere in the Bible where there has been a man sleeping with another man. Yeah, we never heard it, the Bible. But the first time I hear of it is when this story is told, and this story is told in Genesis, in the late chapters of Genesis. No, 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 can never be. Genesis, incwadi yokumuva ne. One good thing that the church I was at, the thing that's good about them is that they kind of like make you think. If you want to relate a certain story, you must also usidibanise not the book that you are referring to. And then you would know certain stories that they can never relate it to certain books of the Bible. But either way, there's a story in one of the Bible books. Okay, right now I'm not concerned about quoting those, but if anyone wants us to quote and debate the books and stuff, we can always do that at a later stage. But the point is not about the book now. The point is about the story. That they come and get wanted like banging at Lot's door. Open up the door. We want those men that you took by there. Kusho ukuthi la madoda bewabukile la madoda, like looking at them good, yeah, they're strangers. And we're gonna take them, probably take them sometime. But a lot of pop or watata or fagagaki. So these guys, they went. Like, no, we want those guys. Take them out. So when they Ulot now listen to those guys at the door, it's like, which is the part where I wanna go to. You meet strangers. You offer them a place to sleep at a place. The community comes looking for the strangers, wanting to do whatever they want to do with the strangers. Okay, in this case, they wanted to sleep and rape the strangers, right? And then, because Lot at this point, he didn't know who the guys were. At this point, give us those men, we want to know them. Blatantly put, we want to sleep with them. You know what Lot said? That's like one of the things that still boggles my mind. As women, have we ever been at any point being taken seriously? I don't know. All Lot says to the guys at the door that are looking for the strange man that, okay, guys, let's talk. I have two daughters. That's what Lot says. I have two daughters. I can give them out to you for free. But just not these men. At that point, he has no idea that these are angels. At this point, they're still referred to as two strange men, or yeah. Lot has no idea who they are or who they were or what message they carried, but he just met these two men, and people came to get those men from him. Lot says, I've got two daughters. I can give my daughters to you and you can have them, but not these men. And that is where it actually boggles my mind. See me in my house. Because I'd say this, guys, and one thing honestly is, as things happened in the Bible times, as people thought and used their brains and their minds in the Bible times, so are we in that time. We might have shorter lifespan, but in terms of everything else, I'll still understand that we should be thinking the same. They're my two guys. I've just found a stranger in my gate, and then I invited them over, which is a good thing. No man, come on, custody like us. You cannot be standing out like that at the middle of the night. Come to my place and sleep over, and then you can proceed with your journey in the morning. And then the guy comes into my house, and then there are the people that come like, hey, Phelisa, take out that guy. We saw that you have a guy. There's some phone. Let's say Abu Zakit. I'm after nine. Sorry, guys, but with much love. But at the end of the day, they come maybe wanting this guy. Ukuthi, wena uyasivalela ndoda kantini ubasaphi labantu thina sibabhekile, you get one. So I bring this guy out, and then they me sitting in my door. I'm like, no, I cannot do this to these guys. Mm-mm. I have a daughter of mine. She's 15 years old. 15-year-old. I can rather give her to you, and you can have her, and she's a virgin. That's what Lord said. They are virgin. Like, she's a virgin. You can have her, guys, but just not the guys. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. You'd rather give your kids to a group of strangers, not even one group of strangers, to do to them as they please, for as long as you save a guy's life. You get my point? I think I've said my part there. And you think that we can never be taken seriously? It's fine. Let me pass. There's the unnamed concubine. It's like that. Even in the Bible says a concubine, and if a concubine, if you don't know a concubine, it's umakwapheni man. This guy was probably married, and then because he was on a long journey, he decided to take makwapeni wake to go with. So that's how I think of it. But that's how I look at it. So now the guy takes the concubine with, and then they go to this other city, and then when they go to this other city, they got invited, and then because the people back then, they were so generous about anything. The way they're so generous, they were generous even by their women. You can do anything for as long as it's a woman. uh so this concubine, this story is in the book of, I don't know if I noted that. I wish I could, I wish I had. Because the story, the whole point, it's not about, it's in the book of Judges. It's in the book of Judges. Because my whole point is not about quoting verses and everything. You can always get these things on your own if you want to. But yeah, the concubine story is in the book of Judges. So this guy gets into the city, is not known in the city, is visiting in the city, and then when it comes late, guys come after him, as similarly to lama guys like abawathandi amadoda. Hayi, kusho ukuthi this guy's abathanda, because this guy is a stranger in the city. He has his donkeys and his whatever, and uhamba concubine yakhe, that is makwapeni wakhe. And then we got there, and then starting to settle in, people come to the door, and they knock, and they want him for no more. And then asafuna umudla njalo, in the house. Phuma umbiko khona ukuthi no, I have a woman with me, or I have ladies here with me. You can have them and do to them as you please, but just not the man. And then they release the lady out, open the door, throw her out, and then the guys take him and they do whatever they did, and they please themselves in whatever the way they had to please themselves. And then after they were done, they brought the woman at the door. And then when the guy woke up in the morning, woke up to find the body of the woman, and then he put him back into his lento lebehamba ngayo, the cart. He's driving back to Israel, and then seeing that the lady is dead and all, he cut her into 12 pieces, and those pieces were sent to the 12 tribes of Israel. Each and every tribe got a piece of that woman. I don't understand, guys. I really don't understand. That signifies something, that is standing for something which I'm not about to be discussing today or anything. But the point is, when I was doing the study back then in the church and everything, I had to go deeper and a little bit to a little bit deeper into the meanings of or on some of this, because I was getting somewhere where I was doing that talk to actually drive a certain point, which was not to promote women abuse, sexual abuse, and abuse at its point, but there was a different point, man, in the sense that I had to take that to the finish in order for me to continue with the part two, which was now the woman in the New Testament, and what God or what Jesus had to do in order to try and rectify everything that was, because he did come and then rectified the treatment that the woman had to endure in the Old Testament when he had to meet the lady at the well and had to publicly have a conversation with that woman or engage with that woman in public, which was something that was forbidden back in the day, that a man cannot be seen with a woman in public. And Jesus Christ had to do that in order to have to pass a certain message into. So that's where my study was going back then. So, but now ngigulaba abaphelela Old Testament, because I'm afraid, guys, that when you start to quote now, especially these days, the New Testament, people will be like, "Must jail." Or when you quote the Old Testament, some others be like, "Yeah, must jail." Old Testament, I better there's a break in transition, in transmission. I mean, there's a break in transmission that the people they don't want to actually get to the deeper level of things, and it is said that people in the Bible times that go through what they, and it actually clearly shows that just a few these are very few stories that I had to share with you today, guys, that women had to struggle and had to go through what they had to go through in the times. And now thinking abongiqala inhloko naboqina inhloko about the time esiphila kuyo namuhla, ukuthi how are they not going to use that thing for their own selfish reasons? Women suffered in the Bible times, in the Bible times. In the time, meaning that at the time when the Bible was written. And therefore today we still struggle with such that women are never taken serious. And it's sad when it actually other women they perpetuate this narrative, or they support this kind of narrative that women aren't supposed to be taken serious. Because you ask me, why must I not stand in the pulpit and preach? Because I'm a woman. 7 days of my month, I have to be going through a certain process that has got nothing to do with me, that I never sat down and filled up an application for. It's a natural cause, just like any other man out there. They go through their natural processes that um, deal with men specifically. And then now I sit and I ask myself, guys, could it be that? Why we women suffer so much abuse under the hands of the leaders? Is that why women suffer so much under the hands of their husbands? Is that why women suffer so much under the hands of those that are supposed to be protecting them? Is it suppose simply that women are weaker gender? Women don't matter because women don't procreate. That's another thing. Apparently, women cannot procreate. But show me a man that can produce a family on their own without a woman. Show me a man that can be able to stand and make babies on their own without a woman. This thing is a one, it's a half of the other. If a woman is not there, there's no baby. If a man is not there, there's no baby. Then, therefore, why women are looked at as a weaker, as a weaker part of a whole chain or everything. Why women are always looked out for? Because as I understand, and as has been said, and it's even been proven by biblically so, that you can bear as many kids. You can bear as many kids in the Bible times, but they would never even bother to give a name to the child, just like the one I was talking about here, the one that I said it's the concubine, Makwapeni, didn't even bother to give a name to that woman. Why? Because a woman doesn't matter. But show me any male character in the Bible that doesn't have a name. Even if they have to play the least of them roles. Even Judas, the one that betrayed Jesus Christ, we know his name. But you get a woman that had to suffer under the hands of men and they are not given a name. Is it because they do not matter? Is it because they play so much little of a role? It's just one of those things, guys, that I ask myself, Uguti, is it why women has to go through this much under the man's hand and it is acceptable? If Lot could have sold his daughters to strangers to save stranger, are we then gonna be able to be saved? Is it really that religion is playing a fair role, acceptable role when it comes to taking women seriously? I don't know. But it's just one of those things that we might be fighting a losing battle if we do not know the history or if we do not understand the background of these things. Because we are going through a lot when it comes to religion. Women are denied a lot of things. It actually in every platform because they are weaker, what do you call gender? They're probably a weaker gender. But one thing that I say, maybe we need to have a look and a depth understanding of exactly where does it come from. So that's how I had to look at it from the angle where if I, as a Christian today, I'm behaving in a certain manner. Could it be because of my beliefs? Because could be because of my understanding of how things should have been done or things were done. If Lord could give out his daughters to strangers, if this guy would give out somebody that He said, "I love you" to strangers in order to save him. In order to save his us, and Lord had to save strangers and give out his daughters. I really, guys, really think that they're taking us seriously. No, by the way, no, no. It's not because why I chose to be a lesbian. I'm a lesbian, but I'm not a man. Not by any chance. But any point is these things they actually link. Is that probably why we see so much? Like we have got Omotoso, they're standing in courts today because they took advantage of women in terms of, "I'm blessing you. If I sleep with you, you will be blessed." And people really honestly felt like they were being blessed. There's so many others. You can go and check the podcast. There's so many churches out there. The stars, Hollywood stars that we looked up into, and we felt like, wow, we look highly of these people. Hear the story about them taking advantage of women under the name of blessing them in change that they they become sexually blessed. Mara kodwa yazi esiyakhona ukungahlakaniphi nathi mara guys, but yeah, that's just probably the end of my talk for today. And this was just my part three of the three parts that I've done so far about religion and our mental health, religion and our psychological thinking, religion and abuse. So that's just the third part today. And so far, I'm not happy with our religion, guys, as religious organizations, our churches, and the value that they attach to the female species. Yeah, is that maybe they think that they can do things on their own, guys? I mean, it has made this been example for a long time. It has been made for a long time. If it was only guys here on earth when Jesus Christ or when God created actually the three, when they created at the beginning and they would only have male species, there was nothing that's gonna go. There was nothing that's gonna take place. There was not gonna be procreation that was gonna take place because it takes a man and a woman to create or to procreate. I do not know where the flip or the fuck that men think they are better and they are bigger than a woman. I just fought another one 2 nights ago. I'm jealous crap. But yeah, anyway, it's just one of the things. If we would learn to appreciate each other, if a man would appreciate the existence of a woman, and a woman would appreciate the existence of a woman, wouldn't be a problem. If a woman would appreciate the existence of another woman, wouldn't be a problem. If a man would appreciate the existence of another man, won't be a problem because we all coexist and we all become something great at the end of the day because the existence of each other makes the other and the existence of the other makes the other. So I mean, I don't understand, guys. That's one of the things. Like, I'm flipping lesbian, but I would still have 7 more kids if I can flipping do. Because at the end of the day, guys, at the end of the day, and no, I don't need to be sleeping with a man for me to get a baby, but I need the assistance of a man. He can maybe take it through, like at that point, I don't need a man to sleep with me to have a baby. I just need something that a man has that I don't have. And another man would need my existence if they don't need me in their life in order for them to be able to have a baby. So it's just for as simple as that. We need each other, guys. And this thing of whether you are heterosexual or maybe you are homosexual, at the end of the day, we need each other. Period. I'm not talking about this for gender purposes or anything. My point was the abuse that we suffer under the hands of the so called religious leaders? Could it be that they've probably read the Old Testament too much? I don't know. Could it be that they've ignored certain facts from the New Testament? I don't know. But one thing is certain, then one thing is sure. And I've said it. There has been in the Bible the belittling or not the not taking women serious kind of an attitude. Could our leaders today be taking on the same track? I've put scenarios before you: emotional, sexual abuse that women had to suffer under the hands of the leaders in the Bible. Could it be that our leaders are taking? Guys, you must go and watch. I'll post it sometime. You must go and check out some few channels that probably you'll get where I'm coming from and why I'm talking like this. But for tonight, I'm done. Thank you for watching and I appreciate you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share just purely for engagement purposes. I'm not making money out of these videos. I'm ngingumuntu nje kaNkulunkulu othanda ukuzikhulumela, guys, and that things and then wants to share and get a perspective of others. I read, I literally that's it, and then I get a kind of like information that I don't know what to do with. So I've discovered that okay, if I then come to these kind of platforms and put this information to, then maybe I'll learn a thing or two. I could be wrong. Then there are some people that are gonna have a different perspective from what I'm thinking, and therefore it's just for the purposes of spreading the gospel. I love you guys. Take care of yourself. Look out for the next video, which will be dealing much in greater detail on the abuse in the Bible. Because I promise you guys, I'm gonna go in and delve into my thoughts as to how it happened that Ulot ex welcomes the strangers from the gate into his house and be willing to sell her virgin daughters to strangers just to save the strangers. It so boggles me. So let's look out for that. Talk to me while you are waiting for that. Tell me what else you want us to talk about. I think that's all for me for tonight. And cheers. I love you guys. Take care of yourselves, or the nature will, the nature will take care of you on your behalf. So, but at any point, guys, or at any point, let's love one another. Let's respect one another. Let's take care of one another. There's nothing that can take us anywhere than if we can be able to do that. Love each other irregardless. Take care of each other irregardless. Because I understand as South Africans, our history, we've been through a time where we are not loved because of our skin color. Where let me not put it in that way, where we will not get along because of our skin color. We fought that. We are not there yet, but we're getting somewhere. So how about now you not being loved because of your gender? That's food for thought. And good night. Take care of yourself, guys. I'm out of here.